making it so
Turn
only
down the
heat from the
volume.
sun is trapped, heating the planet all over. We can do this a bunch of different ways, like using methane mined from rocks on Mars, carbon dioxide if we can get enough of it,
Turn
or
down the
even with
volume, Lucas.
ammonia. Let's focus on that one
Turn
for
down the
now. We
volume.
can
I'm live.
release that ammonia by smashing ice-rich comets from the outer.
Hello and hi everyone. Welcome to my kitchen. It's very messy. I will not show you the rest of my kitchen. But the reason why I decided to share this live video in YouTube because I have made the decision to post more videos in my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, Mo Ikay Cakes, has been monetizing over the past 2 years. And today in COVID-19, I decided to pledge all 100% of my earnings in YouTube to purchase more uh, personal protective gears for our healthcare workers back in the Philippines. Um, I cannot tell you how heartbroken I am to hear that some of our bravest heroes treating patients after patient dies because of the very disease that they're trying to fight. So this is my effort, first time effort to do something for cause. And I hope that you can support me and watch the rest of my videos. I'll be posting on a weekly basis, may not be live or maybe pre-recorded. Um, but again, thank you for being here and I'll get started right away. So, okay, so I'm here in my kitchen and I have prepared ingredients. Okay, sorry, somebody called me. Let's show you my okay, wait a minute. Because someone, the lady called Priscilla, is trying to call me. I don't know what's the emergency. Let me. I'm live, sis. Don't disturb me. Love you, Priscilla. Thank you for calling me. Actually, Priscilla is one of my friends who I've been helping out doing edible prints. I'm doing edible prints to support our fellow bakers as well. So just a shameless plug. Okay, so I'm here showing my ingredients. So I prepared the ingredients. This recipe basically is very easy. I have 250 grams of overripe bananas. The banana has to look something like this. It's not it's not rotten. It just look blackened. It means that it's overripe. But at the same time, when you use an overripe banana, the sugars are starting to become more prominent for this banana, and it's ideal to use in your banana cupcakes to get that nice caramel flavor. And if you peel this, it will look something like this. And this is very far from being rotten, okay? It's just nice and it's very soft. The type of banana that I'm using is, in Singapore, we call it Pisang Mas, which is Malay for bananas from Malaysia. In the Philippines, you can use, I think it was Lakatan. Lakatan is the sweeter one, right? Lakatan. Or if you're in other countries that do not have these local bananas available, you can use the Cavendish. The Cavendish is the longish ones. And I've tried Cavendish. And to be honest, they take a very long time to ripen or ripe. I have no idea what stuff they put in. But for if you're using Cavendish, I recommend that you buy them ahead of time, freeze them. Freeze them in the freezer because the freezing process somehow breaks down the sugars. So when you defrost them, they become it's much more sweeter than using it for them as fresh. That's the technique that that applies to me. Some people, they would microwave the Cavendish and they would cook it so that some of the waters will come out. But that's their technique. For me, it's easier to just freeze them. You can use your usual bananas. If you have over-ripened bananas, you just store them, shut them in the freezer, and let them, just let them collect there until you have the desired amount of bananas that you need. So for this recipe, oh sorry. So for this recipe, it took me about 3.5 bananas of over-ripened bananas. And yeah. So I have the bananas and then I have 80 grams of brown sugar. Now, mind you, when I make my cakes, it's less sweet. Please adjust according to your sweetness level. If you like it really sweet, please feel free to add 20 more grams. But for me, 80 grams is just nice because these bananas are already sweet. And I don't want it to be too sweet, if you know what I mean. Um, I have oil here. It's about 100 grams. And if you notice that these are only my wet ingredients, I don't put any water. And the reason being why I don't put any water, I have bad experience with very wet banana bread. You have no idea. You have no idea how much banana breads that I made experimenting with different recipes, and I always end up with, like the outside is cooked but inside is really wet. I have cases whereby the banana bread becomes, or the banana cake becomes like a brick that you can actually injure someone. And I find this recipe just nice. And I never used any water with this. The texture is very nice. You just have to use a lot of fat, which is the oil component. And then the wet ingredients is basically your banana and sugar. Um, I'm not using eggs because it's an eggless recipe and has worked very well. I will show you the texture later to tell you what I mean, okay? Now, for the dry ingredients, I am using 150 grams of flour, all-purpose flour. And these are my leaveners. So I have 1.5 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt. I'll be publishing the ingredients later in my Instagram page. So please go to Monikai Cakes in Instagram. This is different from Moikai. My Moikai is my old name. I changed it to Monikai for branding purposes. And also in this YouTube channel, I'll post the recipe. And I prepared liners here on my cupcake pan. And let's start with making the ingredients. So now this recipe is very easy because I don't have to use any fancy equipment. All I need is just a fork. Oh yeah, just a fork and a bowl. And I just toss everything in and it will be fine. It's just a one bowl recipe and it's very easy. So let me try to mash. I'm mashing the bananas. And obviously, even though if it's overripe, over ripened, they, they, they're kind of not too well. I mean, it takes some work to mash them. And the purpose to mash them is basically to break them down. So when you put in the sugars, they'll incorporate quite nicely. You know, it's amazing how you can video yourself with one hand and mixing ingredients over the other. You know, when you're fighting for a cause, you would do everything in your power to really do what you need to do. Okay. Now, once it is, I try to make sure that it's mashed. If you have any food processor, it's also fine. That would be excellent. But I'm assuming that some of you are first-time bakers, so you have very limited equipment. So this is the most basic that I can show you and still can make really nice eggless banana cupcakes. Isn't that awesome? Okay. So now that you can see the color of the banana is starting to change, it means that the sugars is already somehow, or I would say it's oxidizing. I'm not a science expert or a chef, but at this point I can tell that the bananas are nicely mashed. It has changed color, seems macerated enough to say that it's mashed enough. So I would put the brown sugar. You can use coconut sugar if you are really into the healthy stuff. I have never tried it with stevia. I have I just tried it with brown sugar and white sugar. Hold on. Okay. I make sure that there's no lumps inside. That is what's important. It would have been faster if you have your own food processor or a spatula or a beater. But I'm trying to be as basic as I can go here because I really want to encourage all of you. If you have no baking background, you can still do it. Just imagine me trying to experiment this recipe when I was still starting out and I ended up really tough banana cakes. Took me months to actually get the right recipe. Alright, so I see that the lumps are no longer there. Then I'll put my oil. I'm using sunflower oil, by the way. Feel free to use other oils of your preference. You can use corn oil, canola. I prefer sunflower because it's widely available and I feel it's more healthier than canola. The reason why I'm saying that, I will leave that topic for another time. And this is very important. I have to make sure that the banana, the sugar, and the oil are really blended together. This is also a perfect opportunity to mash leftover stuff that is leftover lumps. Feel free if you have any gadgets, fancy gadgets that you have, if you have any mixers, beaters, spatula, make your life easier. But for now, I'm using a fork. All right. Now we're done with the wet ingredients. Now I'm going to put the dry ingredients. If you see, my flour is in the strainer, so I strained them. By the way, if you're starting out with cakes, I recommend if you're going to add your dry ingredients, especially flour, please always sift your flour because you never know if you have any lumps inside. It also incorporates air into your batter. A lot of good things. And it's also a good habit to strain your flour. Just mix like so. Oops, I forgot my leaveners. So I just toss them in. See, not so hard at all. Just toss everything in and mix them. Okay. Mix until they are fully incorporated. If you can see, I'm trying to mix with one hand. Amazing how easy this recipe is. And the challenge that I imposed myself just to prove that this is a very easy eggless recipe that you can do at home. And even do your own live if you feel like it. Alright. Spin the bowl. Just to make it fancy. Oh boy. Alright. So, if you see that everything is incorporated in, don't mix any further. If you overmix your batter, your cupcake will become tough. So, you just try to mix until everything is well blended together. Now, the fun part. We are going to put this batter into the cupcake cases. And, alright, I am going to show you one of my secrets on having equal sizes of cupcakes without really measuring them. Ta-da! Ice cream scooper. This ice cream scooper, I bought it at the baking supply store. And ice cream scoopers are in from baking supply stores are specially designed for baking, like measuring cupcake batter into the pan. If you're buying it from an, Amazon or wherever, it's very hard to really gauge the size of the scooper. So if you see an ice cream scooper in a baking supply store, most likely it is meant for that. Okay, otherwise they will not sell it. That is in the wrong size. So just a tip. All right. So what I do is, okay, this is the batter. This is the cupcake scooper. I scoop. Normally I would level this off, but because I'm trying to shoot my live video and um, doing my cupcakes, so I try to level them, nice and level, and just scoop it into one of the cases. All right, and this will be nice and level for the rest of the cupcakes because you're using a standard size scooper, and you are basically making consistent measurements across all your cupcakes. Now, this recipe can serve 12 cupcakes. I am not going to fill this because I have a finished product, right? Like any other cooking show, I actually have a finished product. And let me show you how it looks like. For those of you who just tuned in, you're watching how to make eggless cupcakes with one hand and basic tools, which is a bowl and a fork. Well, the other hand is holding a camera or my camera phone. Okay. So this is the finished product. I bake these at 180 degrees. I preheat my pan to 175 Celsius. And when this cupcake went into the oven, the internal temperature inside the oven become 150, which is just nice. And because of the low heat, because the heat got lower, the 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 bump is not as high as it is, just nice, flat and level. And I can smell. It's hard to explain what I'm smelling right now, but I'm smelling a bit of caramel. Very nice caramel smell from the brown sugar. And now I'm attempting to peel one cupcake with one hand. Yay! So see how nice and brown and yummy. And if I break it, it's very soft. That's the crumb inside. Nice air pockets. And the crumb is just nice. And I'll taste it. Mmm. Oh my god. Mmm. Yum. Okay. So you know, always trust a baker who eats her baked goods and make this sound that they really like what they just made. So this is the crumb. It's nice. Has a nice bite. It has a crunchy texture on the outside, but very soft crumb on the inside. And it's good that we didn't put any water because otherwise you will not get that nice soft texture. That nice bouncy texture. All right. So that's it for my live. It's short and sweet. It's very easy. It's so easy I can do it in one hand. Why can't you? Right? So, oh, sorry. I bake these at 20 minutes. So, one tip, if you're using a small oven, you set the timer for 10 minutes after you put in the oven. Then turn it after the 10 minutes, like you turn around your tray, and then bake it for another 10 minutes. This will make sure that the heat distribution on your cupcakes is nice and even. So none of them will be undercooked and overcooked. It's a known technique used by home bakers. And I survive with a very small toaster oven. So that's how easy it is to. I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's even if you have a small oven and limited supplies, you can do whatever you want if you put your mind into it. So I hope you try this at home. And if you have made this recipe at the comfort of your home, please tell me and share it with me. Put in the comments or DM me in my Instagram page and in my Facebook and YouTube. Again, thank you once again for being here, and I really appreciate you watching with me and helping me with my cause. And support my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Right? Thank you. Bye bye. It's me signing off.